How do you get
The audience is eclectic. Youth, middle-aged people, and elders. Elders all brought together by a common heritage of the written craft. So, and they say tomorrow belongs to the youth. It's very important that we mentor these youths to become the achebes of tomorrow. And you can see the performance today from these young people. It shows us and assures us that the written craft is well and alive in the Nigerian space. Yes. We help them to, the young ones, we help them to polish their writings, and we help them to get published. Stories that reflect the complexities of the Nigerian society, exploring themes of morality, politics, tradition, and the quest for justice. Throughout his work, he has challenged us to confront uncomfortable truths, to question the status quo, and to aspire towards a more just and equitable society. Today, as we engage in dialogue with our guest author, let us not only celebrate his achievements and tap from his vast experiences, but also reflect on the profound impact that literature and public service can have in shaping the course of our nation's history and the development of our ever-evolving literary space. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you, and I thank you for your presence here today as we embark on this rich journey of discovery and enlightenment.
I am so lonely and alone in my room with no one to talk to. Why must I be the one suffering from my parents' divorce? I wish they have set their pride aside. If only they have forgiven each other. Maybe now I wouldn't have been in this pain of loneliness. Why can't I be like others that proudly show off their siblings? Can't I have a normal life? Sadly, this pain can't just go away. I wish there's a way out of this pain, but sadly, there's no way out yet. Oh, this pain continues.
My school. School is like a door, but I wonder why some people score poor. To me, a school is fair. There is no place like school. My school. School gives everyone an open arm. School is not a place for harm. School is a place to be embraced and not a place to be disgraced. There is no place like school.
I am a Nigeria, giant of Africa, descendant of Biafra, granddaughter of Arawa, and true daughter of Oduduwa. My true definition is courage, truth, peace, and unity. I am a Wazobia, king of jollof rice. I ought to be a proud Nigeria, home to comedians and political clowns who promise us security, yet we are still scared to travel by road to our village because of kidnappers, unknown gunmen, and abandoned by our leaders. Our leaders, they carry us go where we don't know. We come to them asking them questions about our future. They reply us by shooting us at Lekki toll gates. This is Nigeria, where the cost of living is killing the living. Whether you laugh at me, insult me, or ridicule me, it will stop me from saying, bring back our girls. This is 2024. Our youth, it's time to tell our leaders to eat our words like Eddie Kaikons because we are the real King Kongs. We are a treasure, no one can measure in any pressure. So no matter decision, we should continue to fire in the mire to acquire the desirable changes we want. Rise up, Nigeria. It's time to focus on the positive and not the negative. It's time to contribute to the future we yearn to see. It's time to embrace everyone, no matter the race. It's time to make a change, and the change starts now.
Vivian Foster in her book Space of Wisdom quoted a lot of books and writers as follows. A house without books is like a room without windows. For a man, books reflect in our minds the minds of sages and heroes. Edward Gibbon. Books are the legacies which geniuses leave to mankind from generation to generation to the unborn generation. Joseph Addison. Let me observe that leaving books for generations yet unborn explains why it's often said that if you don't want to die, write books. If you don't want to die, write books. No wonder Rufus Squares made it clear in the book Space of Wisdom that a book is the only immortality. A book is the only immortality. Stretching the above further, we know that Chinua Achebe is dead, but he's still alive for his books. Remember the time-honored book, Things Fall Apart. No wonder a lecturer, Ezechi Oyerion 2017. In his book, Akachi Admorezibo, Life and Literature, must have recognized the immortality of Achebe's Things Fall Apart when he quoted Professor Akachi Admore as saying that in the second term of my first year in the university, we studied Things Fall Apart in class. I was fascinated by what I read. Achebe's innovation in the area of language and style was striking, but I was convinced that he could not have said all that needed to be said about Igbo and their traditions and experience, particularly the perspective of women's experience. Further, Professor Akachi Adimora Ezigbo was quoted as admitting that in her own words, that her own words could not have been written if Achebe had not written, and if he had not opened doors and led the way. In the words of another cerebral scholar, a philosophical writer and a researcher, Professor Denta O. Denta, Achebe is undeniably a highly committed artist, as could be detected in his creative works. Consequently, potential writers are urged to study such works as Achebe's, because Achebe may be described as a writer's creative tiger. And it has been observed by Melo. Melo is a lecturer, a professor of English, I think it's now in National University. As observed by Melo in 1991, who quoted Wole Soyinka as saying that a tiger has no need to proclaim its integrity, because when the kings of beasts appear, it does not need to announce its presence, power, or prowess. It manifests them. All other animals know this. So all the potential creative writers, for motivation and guidance, must try to read and appreciate Achebe's work in the above direction and explanation. Vivian Foster also quoted James McCosh, who advised that the books to be read are not the ones which think for us, but the ones that make us think. Achebe's works, no doubt, make creative writers think, and all the writers know this. It may be important to add here some other teachings that may be useful to potential writers, as contained in Dr. Yero Bejume's paper entitled Dynamics of Scriptwriting, delivered at the Second National Film Festival on Friday, 28 November 2003, and was quoted in Guardian newspaper, Nigeria, of Thursday, December 25, 2003, page 55, as outlining three basic elements required in writing, as talent, technique, and hard work. Perhaps Professor Suleiman of IBB University, Niger State, in a creative workshop in the University of Abuja in 2023, must have supported Dr. Yero's Majume's three basic elements above, where he advised that the potential art writers should read more than they write. They should read boundlessly. They should be critical, analytical, and have taken faculties. So I expect that today's reading and dialogue will also make us think. Again, one Egyptian king, according to Vivian Foster, wrote in his library that books serve as the medicine of the soul. Perhaps the above Egyptian king must have supported my current play, Widow's Choice, under publishing. Therein, the widow ignores a loquacious rich man who was all over her, flaunting his cash and words of money. She, the widow in that play, goes on to remarry a humble man and a prayer warrior who alternates as a catechist, a church warden, and a choir master, and uses the Bible and the cross as walking tools for prayers. And this marriage to that humble man must have served the widow as souls, as a medicine or soothing balm that had devastating widowhood mood then. It's also been advised that we should master books, not allow them to master us. Consequently, we are advised to read to live, and not live to read. In Nigeria here, the anchor or presenter of Channel TV Book Club, Mr. Kunle Kashimu, has always advised towards the end of his usual program on television that one great book read by any of us can change our lives. No wonder Joe Fassler, a writer, in a book, Light the Dark, which he edited in 2017, quoted the Nobel laureate Orhan Pamuk's novel, The New Life, as beginning with this sentence: I read a book one day and my whole life was changed. And Orhan Pamuk further wrote that my whole life was changing as I read the new words on each new page. Joe Fessler, in the same book, Light the Dark, even stressed Orhan Pamuk's work further when he added, a life can change in paragraphs. Just note that a life can change in paragraph, in a turn of phrase, in a single way used word. End of quote. We should therefore continue to read different books to further widen our power of imagination, creative knowledge, and literary co-writing horizon. In fact, to qualify as a writer, it seems to me that one must try to conquer what Charles Caleb, an English cleric and writer, observed as three difficulties in authorship. In his words, there are three difficulties in authorship: to write anything worth publishing, to find honest men to publish, and to get sensible men to read. I pray that the potential writers here should, through their power of imagination and creative effort, write to combat the above three difficulties of authorship early enough in their course of writings. However, it must be pointed out here that Western publishers, sponsors, and promoters invest a lot on writers, unlike in Nigeria, where home-based writers, no matter their talents and their relevance of the works or the number of literary prizes won, continue to search for sponsors and financiers at times. This non-availability of sponsors denies them publication of their works. So the Association of Nigerian Authors, Architect Shooks should note, should therefore make herself available and relevant as an agent for socio-economic and political change through sponsorship of bills, media attention, lobbying, contacts, and consultations of those both in and outside government who need to know. It is against the background of the above gap and difficulty in financing our sponsorship that prompted me to present a bill on 21st of February 2012 for an act to establish the Nigerian Authors Trust Fund and for other related matters. This bill waited for public hearing and was later overtaken by circumstances beyond the Committee on Education. Perhaps part of the delay for the public hearing was because we have not met so many writers in the House, and the national body of ANA, under Abdullahi Danger then, was busy with other national issues to now have followed up. But this bill can still be revisited. My locus here. The invitation by the chairman and office bearers of ANA Abuja chapter extended to me has satisfied my locus for being here today. I wish to say also, not out of personal aggrandizement or intellectual arrogance, that some of my plays, which partly have qualified me for today's invitation, I must have supported my locus, are really interrogating, lampooning, examining, laughing, caring for caution in life, highlighting, raising, and resolving some socio-political, religious, educational issues and problems in our society. My books or plays at the risk of using one stone to kill two birds today, and the risk of advertising them for effect are: one, as right, Nigeria Custom on the Dice. Our corrective effort regarding Nigeria Custom and reforms published in 2006 by Unilag Press. Officers and Men, this is a fiction, story of antics, intrigues, jokes, and humors in the paramilitary organization. A memo to Esther, a book on death, education, and lamentation on the loss of a dear one. What Shall I Say Unto the Lord? Is a community short story of disagreement, reconciliation, and final agreement and later dedication of a church. Inaga is motorcycle taxi. This is a story of a fair businessman and resorting to a motorcycle taxi and its consequences. In fact, it is a town and guy relationship in the academic and social settings. Armchair parents is lack of parental supervision of kids in secondary schools. Honorable Chairman, this is one of the political plays. The work focuses on the habit of illiterate politicians paying to acquire honorary degrees in hotels and open phrase, thus deluding themselves in ignorance. The first day is about bullying. You can see the bullying in British lead education in Abuja, just recently. The first day is about bullying in the secondary schools. In fact, I permitted one author to rewrite this drama as a novel with the title The Bullies. The First Lady, this is another political play. It talks of political ingratitude in action. Signs and Wonders is about religious manipulation and mind healing by men of God, in quote. His Excellency and the Serene is about political insensitivity among the politicians. This is another political book. Oh, my Rolls Royce and my fairly old wife is criticism for those who worship money and regard money as their masters. The main character here prefers his Rolls Royce to his wife. Sorters and Sorties, examination malpractice in the tertiary institution. This play is in JAM syllabus. Mine, An Enduring Heart, written both in English and Igbo, the play explores the theme of cultural panacea to impotence among men. Let My Husband Be. This play is about infidelity, widowhood, and jealousy among married women. The Joy of Professor Badnego Jr. This work interrogates the cultural differences and conflict between foreign and trained graduates and the home trained. 20 Wants to Marry is an award-winning play which examines the randy roads of only son, especially when he's advised by the parents to get married. This was a run-up in 2007 Drama Prize. Danger, I hope I'm correct. Number 18, Wild Wives for the Old. Wild Wives for the Old is a play that queries and reconciles the past and the present attitudes of married women of the old and the modern ones. In a satirical fashion, it asks, who is more accommodating? Wild wives or the old or the modern wives? Then what a man can steal is very interesting, especially among women. What a man can say is a satire that examines the usual saying, what a man can do, a woman can do better. So what a man can steal, perhaps a woman can steal smarter and better. Specks in Our Eyes, another political play, to appreciate the teaching in the Holy Book about laws and specks in our various eyes. It explores the inconsequential allegations against those at the helm of Nigeria affairs and oversight functions. This book is also in the JAM syllabus. Sabita and Her Fiancé is about an African girl who is eager to marry due to her mother's pressure on her. As a result, she dabbles into a wrong choice of a man. In short, it is about the consequences of the pressure on guys to get married by their mothers. This play is very important to some of our secondary school or undergraduates. A girl met a boy somewhere in a social gathering, and the boy told her that she has been around engineering, robbery, engineering, courtism, and so on. So what the girl did was, when he went to tell the parents that he had gotten an engineer as a husband. So the confusion started from there. Sipping Coffee with My Boss, which I'm going to read after this, is about general infractions, corruption, sanctimonious behavior and demonization of some lecturers, gossips, so-called runs, hookups and hangers, intrigues and character assassination in tertiary institutions. Then Champagne to the High Table, which is also what I'm going to read today. This interrogates the gap between the haves and the have-nots. It questions why champagne should be served only to those on the high table and soft drinks only to the masses. It also raises some issues of girl and boy child education and frowns at drug abuse, indecent dressing, and cultural desecration. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, especially the potential writers, many of my books have been vetted and financed by Nigeria Educational Research and Development Council. And 2 of them have been reflected in syllabus of John's administration. The Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, between 2015 and 2019, wrote to my reputable and honest publisher, Crafts, to supply her for onward distribution to the states. Some qualitatively customized copies of my plays are part of their library resource materials. Many of my books have been donated to and are also being used the University of Abuja, Federal University of Yokiti, University of Africa, Bayelsa State, Imo State University, Elese Kweme Federal University, Bonny State, Abanikok Federal University of Education, and Imo State Ministry of Education since 2002. In fact, the University of Abuja has at different years used my place as their convocation place, and I appreciate that. One Joseph Idoho, PhD, of Theatre and Media Arts Department, Federal University of Ekiti, published an article using my play, The First Lady, in an international journal. Final year students in the various tertiary institutions also use some of my plays for their final year graduation project, especially in UNN in Suka, Elese Kweme Federal University. It is important to note that some of my plays are also in volumes 1, 2, 3, and of course some are also in Amazon. Dr. Agozi Ugu here, and an acclaimed and amazing director of plays and his associates have taken my plays to different parts of Abuja, Transcorp, Sheraton, Women's Center, Diabin Theatre, Transcorp during COVID-19 period, and outside Abuja, namely Imo State University, Elese Kweme University, Nsukka University, UNN, Port Harcourt, and Jos. In fact, Dr. Pat Ote of the Jos Repertory Theatre had directed the performances of 3 of my plays in Jos, and I appreciate all. However, let me at this point say that same book, Based on Wisdom, earlier mentioned in this my speech, has also emphasized that there are people who make things happen. There are people who watch things happen. There are people who don't know anything did happen. So where does one belong to as a potential writer or an author? A cerebral scholar, socio-philosophy, prolific and writer's writer, Professor Denta Odenta, in his book, Art, Society and Identity, Essays on African Literature, looking at the journey of search, quoted in Google Matthias as explaining that there are 2 worlds. There's the world of those who accept things as they are, and there's that of those who want to change things. Which world do you belong to as a potential writer? For a potential writer or public servant or a politician to be part of positive socio-political change, he or she must not belong to those who were quoted in Professor Denta's book as believing that there's a lot of wisdom in learning to keep one's sleep safe. There are people who reap benefits from singing the approved tune. Those who dance in step with the approval of dance. Those who had been ordained into the order of cowardice have joined the ranks of those whose lips are saved. This partly explains what is in Providental book above as culture of silence. For the above to be checkmated, I have not stopped from recommending creative studies or workshops for civil servants, teachers, and legislators. More so, writing on the role of writers in the propagation of Nigerian culture as his contribution to a book, Theatre, Media, and Cultural Engineering in Nigeria. Law Ike Eze Jr., a writer and a lecturer, was quoted as saying that many creative writing authorities believe that writers may not be vocal, but it is common knowledge that they hold strong views when it comes to issues of politics, culture, economy, and society. They appreciate their bold views in a concrete form. Let me still direct the attention of all the potential writers here present to Mele O. Ojima, 1991, who his book, China Ashebe, New Perspectives, page 18, quoting Ashebe as advisor, that a writer who states aside can only write footnotes or glossary when the event is over. So a writer must make literary things happen and not watch them happen only. He or she must not also wait until when the event is over to avoid writing footnotes or glossary letters. Still, a potential writer, as a way of my further reminder, must not listen to the same Mamela above, who wants. He wants that the story we had to tell could not be told for us by anyone else, no matter how well gifted or well intentioned. So my dear potential writers, start writing and don't wait. Avoid self-defeatism, paranoia, and procrastination. And avoid also what Dr. Ruth KBOG, a lecturer of English in Pan Atlantic University, Lagos, In her column, Speaking and Writing, in Daily Sun of February 16, 2024, page 18, entitled Creative Writing Tips for Beginners, she called this inner critic, which may trouble, delay, and discourage one from writing. Lest I forget, I must say here that Mike Aweyifa, a regular and distinguished writer and a columnist, at the back of Sun newspaper on Saturday, September 30, 2017, volume 14, number 768, had earlier been quoted as observing that writing starts with getting a good headline or a title. A title drives and guides the writer like a map to an adventurous explorer. Writing is a form of adventure, and every writer is an explorer. Writing is sometimes fun, sometimes it is torture. It can be sweet, it can be agony, especially when two ideas are competing for attention and when faced with two choices. It is against the background of Mike Aweyifa's observation and pieces of advice above that the potential writers here are further advised to be guided by Chid Ubineche, a distinguished journalist, lecturer stroke public analyst, who in writing about the late GMD of the then NNPC, McCarthy Barry, in his article, Once Upon an Untold Story, in Sunday Sun newspaper of October 15, 2017, page 12, or page 2, sorry, quoted a poet, Dr. Maya Angelus, I know why a caged bird sings, as lamenting that there is no greater agony than bearing untold story inside you. Personally, I call this bearing bottled untold story inside potential writers without the efforts of following them through writing. Interestingly, he should be still quoted J.K. Rowling, a British author, as advising that anything is possible if you have gotten enough nerves. Perhaps the above J.K. Lawrence advice must have explained why E.A. Doctorow, an American novelist and editor, was quoted as saying, writing is like driving at night. You can only see as far as your headlights, but you keep going until you get there. So potential writers must write as explorers, according to Mike Aweyifa, and must get enough nerves and read essays or bottled untold stories, and hold writing by the horn, thereby creating time for writing. They should not waste or squander time, because it has been said that every opportunity has an expiring date. Thanks for listening to part one of my involvement today's event. Then part two of my involvement, having just found my locus for being here, let me now execute part two of my involvement here today by reading from my two plays and wait for your questions and dialogue with me. First, from Sipping Coffee with My Boss, and after that second, I read from the chaplain to the high table. I want to deviate from your method. I will read the book from here, then to ask this question. I don't want to follow your protocol. You are too young to direct me, not too long to read. This book, Sipping Coffee with My Boss, I've donated it to Anna here. Some copies, they're all in the library. But I will also give to those who will win prizes today their copies. I will explain one or two things. In reading books, I don't want a station where I will come and open my books and read, and that's the end. I will advise the potential writers here that in reading somebody's books, there's what we call the early page, the middle, and the last pages. In other words, you must understand why this book is started, Sipping Coffee with My Boss. The reason is that a new vice chancellor was appointed in the university. And one of the lecturers, because whenever you have a new appointment, either in politics, anywhere, those of them, out of eye service, will always come around and eulogize you. When this gentleman was appointed a vice chancellor of a university, one of the lecturers went to him and said he was going to take coffee with him. In the process of taking coffee with him, he decided to gossip to him what would constitute a weight blanket to his smooth administration at the university, without knowing that he was telling him lies. He was castigating a lot of lecturers, that most of them are into plagiarism, some of them are into sorting, some of them sell handouts. Even the boss, he said, has been stealing money and so on and so forth. Without knowing the man was telling lies, until the other set of you came to congratulate him and saw Professor Joe, who was gossiping, and told the VC that this man that left there is worse. That is even randy. He takes money from students and so forth. So the VC decided to invite all of them for a meeting. In a meeting, they also pointed out that the girls are into runs, hookups, and hangouts, while the boys are also sagging. That all of this is all indecent dressing. At the end, the vice president called all of them for a meeting and said they are here to bring up these girls and boys, both in character and learning. So all hands should be on deck for them to achieve that. That's almost the summary, but I have to read some relevant parts for you to also understand. Page 12 of the book. The valet of the Professor Jerry Rollins just said, we thank God today. Today is a special day. At last, my master has been appointed and announced as the new vice chancellor of university, who has been serving for some years. Then the nephew of the vice chancellor said, this is what I have been seeing, what I've just seen and heard as breaking news on television a few minutes ago. At last, my uncle has made it. After all, he has suffered for this citadel of learning called Forefront University. And each time, the interview will be organized. The interview will be organized and will not be successful. So the chancellor said, if I had not stopped drinking and smoking, today's appointment and jubilation would have been called for some bottles of beer and cigarettes. He told the professor to see him in the office. Then he went to the office and said, my distinguished erudite vice chancellor, I come first to identify myself with your successful and powerful, well-deserved appointment as our new vice chancellor. Also, I wish to advise you regarding the negative attitudes and misconduct of certain lecturers, workers, and of course some other negative happenings in this campus, especially in my department. Then
You see, what they say, the labors of our heroes past shall never be in vain. I see one thing, there must be a connect to the new generation. When you talk about literature, you talk about art, you talk about everything that has to deal with the arts today. It did not just start today. There's a place, there's a source. So consistency means it being relevant to yesterday, being relevant to today, and charting a course for tomorrow. And so these ones who are here, the younger ones, are here to learn, to hear, and to see how they can chart the course of their today and tomorrow. So it's connected and it's well represented. I like it.
And how do you think that we can use poetry and whatever to better their lives?
See, whether you like it or not today, creative commodity in writing, skits, dance, fashion has become, you go to YouTube today, you've seen people who have become rich overnight, people who never had a future. It's not just writing, it's the creative spirit, what it can yield. It can change destiny, it can chart the course of destiny. There are young YouTubers who are making so much money that has taken their families out of poverty. We hear of the Yahoo. While we're talking about the Yahoo, there are also young men and women who are doing well with the inner built giftings, virtues, and they have converted it to creative commodity that is giving them money. That's exactly what happens to them. So if they can have a proper conversion of those values, those virtues inside them into values, it will chart the course of their lives and better their lives.
So how do you think writers can contribute in this?
In the production team, it's a team. You have writers, you have cinematographers. It's a chain. So if you know you can write, tell good stories, it's an opportunity. There's a movie waiting for you. You can convert what you have written as literature. This is a work of literature. I can convert it into cinematic terms, into films and everything. So write, but look for mentors. Writing is a skill. Look for mentors, people who understand, and stay with them. Keep writing. But if you are with good mentors, they now know how to spread it around and ask for relevant questions. It's like writing is like clay. You mold it into what you feel and what you want.
Yes, everybody is becoming conscious of the problems in Nigeria. Insecurity has no age limit. It affects everybody. The adults, the children, and the youth. So there are no way some of this will be happening in this country without the youth knowing. The only thing we are talking about is that people should be cautious. There's no person who is happy with what is happening in terms of insecurity. But caution is the word. And that because the government itself is trying. At times they are embarrassed because they don't know the sources of all this. Boko Haram, the north, the south is the same problem. Fulani is IPOB in the southeast, and so on and so forth. So no person stays and knows where the next attack will come from. So that's why everybody is being cautious. In this type of situation, there is no question of making provision for adults, youth, and kids. Everybody will open up. Looks like somebody is sleeping with one eye closed. Everybody should open their eyes and know exactly what's happening. So it's not a question of something is resumed. They are aware. It's a public domain. Insecurity is a public domain. Everybody knows. So the only prayer is everybody has to be very cautious and be vigilant. I didn't say it's not a good thing. I said they must not concentrate on it alone. They must combine. While you are looking at internet, you also look at the hard copy. Internet is about soft copy. When you're looking at internet, you must also look at the hard copy. So you combine both of them. Because if you are looking at internet alone, you will not be able to know the sources. And you can't write a project without telling people the source. That's why I was quoting a lot of things for them to go and refer. And for them to know that you must acknowledge, no matter your height in the society, if I get any information from you, I must say, I trace it to you. There's no question of claiming it. If you claim it, it becomes plagiarism. So I'm not saying there must have a combination of googling and reading the hard copies of books. So you combine them and get the result you have. And if you get the result, you must always declare the source. You cannot privatize it. That's why I said that history unites today, yesterday, and tomorrow. You cannot rely on what you're saying now. You derive your function by reading. Like when I made mention of Achebe and Soyinka, if you read their books, you'll be able to know how to start. You'll be able to know the meaning and know where they stopped. So you can continue. So there's no way you can say Jetison because they're old. Somebody was saying that we failed the present generation. It has been an old adage, but the truth is that you cannot jettison the present generation. That's why I told you that history unites today, yesterday, and tomorrow. So you continue from where they stopped. I have to make reference to them for you to know about history. There's no way you can move without history. It's not like you trying to trace the origin of your parents. If you don't trace the origin, if they ask you one or two questions, you will not be able to. But it's good for you to know the origin of parents before you are on. So that you know the grandfather begot your father, the father begot you, you're going to begot another person. So that's the position. It is not easy to administer. Nigeria is a complex place. The present leader is trying. We must give it to him. There's no way with his experience in Lagos as a governor and the experience he has as a senator, they have a senator. He knows the problem of Nigeria and I think he's tackling them. We must give it to him. Well, we are going to revisit it. In fact, that time, I told it open for Anna to stimulate the attack. I think they were busy with other things. And now that after the house, we are going to revisit it by calling the attention of the education committee to dust it and continue from where we stop.